Hi, I want to show you how to make mitten liners or liners for mittens. How do you start them and why would you even need them? So here is the liner on the side here. You can just pull it out. It almost looks like the mitten is doubly knitted. It's actually two mittens and they're joined right here. So how do you start that? I love making mittens because they're small projects and I love color work or lace over everything. And if you have a lacy mitten, they're not quite warm enough where we live in Canada here. Or if you have a color work mitten, very often this is a fingering yarn or a sport weight yarn and they wouldn't be super warm, let's say. So on this mitten here, I made the liner past the cuff because I figured the cuff doesn't need it and the cuff actually fit quite snug. And in the pattern, this isn't lined, but I decided as it is a Christmas gift for my sister and she walks a lot, I line it. I did not line the thumb. I'll show you how it was done, but I'll show you how I started the mitten here first. So here is the mitten turned inside out. So I'm going to show you how to do this. You can do a provisional cast on, and I do have a video about the provisional cast on. I love using the Turkish cast on. But for this instant, because I work either on magic loop or I work on DPNs, I would not want to have the added of an extra cord in the bottom. So the way that I start off these mittens, they're very often 60 or 64 stitches. Even though the DK weights, this one here I think is only 48 stitches. But regardless, so I'll make a slip knot, which is the E. Fold it over, I pull this up, and I always cast on over 2 needles just because it gives your stitches more room. I will not use the slip knot, but I'll have it here to start off my cast on. So this here is a back loop cast on, and I believe I use it when I want to cast on for under the arm. When I make a top down sweater and I cast on the stitches for the arm. So you just take your thumb, take the thumb from the bottom and I just slide my needles in between here and pull it. So this is stitch 1. Do it again. Have it over the thumb, slide it up 2. You can do it different. I mean, I could hold it this way and just like as you twist the E and push it on. This is another way of doing it. So this is actually backwards to the way that I did it. My loop went in the back and this loop goes in the front. But it actually doesn't matter. So here I have 4, 5, get the tail out of the way, 6. Sorry for my raspy voice, I'm just recovering from a pretty good cold here. 7. I'm pretty sure there's a gazillion ways of how you can do it. I usually just hold it in my fingers like this, take the thumb, go up, and put both of my needles through it. and I cast on as many stitches as I need. And then I'll just pull out one of my needles here, and you can see how the stitches are nice and loose, so they will be easy to get into, and I'll just knit. Whether I knit in the round or not at this point is not interesting, because I'm going to show you how to do this. So I'll just, the first row, because they're just loops, is a little bit harder to stitch into and knit up, so you just have to make sure you get in there. If you have a little bit of extra material, it doesn't actually matter, because it'll just work its way to the tail, and then you'll just have extra thread hanging off the tail, which is fine. Okay, so I'm just going to do these. It looks very, I'm going to undo these. It looks like a very loose cast on, and you can see that this is just the first row. So here I'm going to do my pearls. And you can do rib knit, or whichever way you want to do it. It doesn't actually matter. I'm just going to purl one row, and then I'm going to show you on the other side how easy it is to pick up. It's not a stable cast on by any means, so it's not elastic in a way. It kind of is, but it's not super stable. If you're used to having a long tail cast on or whatnot, this is not this. But when you come from the other side, let's say you have your mitten knitted here, you can get in here very easy right at the bottom of the stitch, and you can just pick up, sorry, I have a different color here. Actually, I have a little ball here. It's not the same weights, it's not the same yarns, but I just want to show you. So I'll go through the 2 stitches here, and I'll pick up 1. So that's 1 stitch picked up. Here would be my 2nd stitch picked up. Here's my 3rd stitch picked up. And you go all the way around until you have all of your stitches picked up. It actually doesn't matter if you go through 1 or 2. I think when it's just 1, it looks nicer. You can see it up here. And I wasn't very tidy. This is just a quick video for one of my test knitters, but I thought I will post it after if anybody else could use it. And you pick up all of your stitches until you have whatever you need, and then you just knit around this way, and that's how you get this. It'll look like this. So with the green Angora, I just picked up the stitches here, and I didn't even, like, if I wove in the threads, yes, but I had longer tails sticking out, and they're just all living on the inside of these mittens. And then when it's all soaked and blocked, I'll just line up the thumbs. Now this particular pattern here is called Luffe, L-U-F-F-E, and it has a right and a left thumb. So the outside I knit the right mitten, but for the inside I would have to knit the left mitten so that they meet up in here. And I just push the 2 thumbs together and push it through, and everything fits quite nice. And on here, the cuff was actually is actually quite snug, because it has this corrugated rib. It's not a rib, but it's a knit stitch in one color and then a knit stitch in the offset color. And this is just a rainbow yarn that I had used. So I thought, well, I'll pick it up right here. Let me get the other mitt. It's on the blocking. I do use pool noodles to block the mittens. They're just perfect for this. So I wanted to pick up the knits or the liner from about here. And as with anything, you want to have an easy line to pick up, because when you look at the inside of this here, this is not very easy to see. But where the pattern had a one row where there was nothing fed in it, no two colors, it kind of looked like this one here. So it was easier to pick the stitches up from here versus where you carry the other color. So on this one, let's say I would have picked it up from here. I would have just picked it up like this. Go through this stitch here. This is a bit thick, but I'll just show it to you just to see. You pick it up this way. Sorry. Once I straighten out that mitten, this will pull right back. This would be my second one. I pick it up like this. This would be my third stitch. And you can do this on anything you knitted. Like I knitted a Stephanie Steingass sweater, and the neck was just too large. I didn't like it. So I went a couple of rows down from wherever my cast on was, and I picked up stitches just like this. I made sure that they were all in the same row. And the neat thing about this is when you pick up your stitches like this, you have the same tension in what you pick up as what you had knitted before. So there is no pull on it, there is no drag on it. Here, obviously, I use different needles, I use different yarns, but even here, you can barely see that I'm pulling it through, because you're in your tension of your knit. And then I just knitted another collar, and it looked pretty neat. It looked like I had two sweaters on, because I used a beige on the main sweater was green. So but anyway, so here I would pick up all of my knit stitches just like this until I have all of the stitches picked up, and then you just knit the second mitten. You make sure that the pretty side out matches your pretty side out, so that you don't have ribbing. If I were to push the ribbing in here, it needs to be a knit, so that it's a knit on the hand. But even if you mess up the knits and the purls, it wouldn't matter. The material is so soft that if this would actually be pearls on the inside, I don't think that you could tell. It might catch more on rings or anything, but it's a good way to have your mittens lined. And then I had thought, the thumb, really, there isn't tons of extra space to line the thumb, and it is double already anyways because of the carry threads. So I just left it. I knitted 3 rows, I believe, back and forth to give it a little bit of height, and then I went back into the rounds. Otherwise, I instead of putting this on waste yarn to pick up for the thumb, I just cast it off. And here, with that same back loops method, I cast on brand new stitches. And again, so here, if I would have to pick these up for the thumb, I can do that quite easily. You can see that right here. So 1, 2, 3. Sorry, I have the camera and the lights around me here. 4. So you can just pick them up through these stitches here. It's with the same back loop method cast on, and it's quite easy, as you can see, and they're easy to see to pick up 1, 2, 3, 4. There's stitch number 5. And as long as you get one of them, it doesn't matter if it's the outside or the inside, because actually once you have it on the needles and knitted, you can't actually tell. So here I could have, let me see how I cast this on. What cast on did I use for this? I used I used the a long tail cast on. And you can see that it has a bit of a braid on the bottom. Where these, they're just loops. So let me see. I'll show you the difference. Okay. This is a long tail cast on, and you do get the crisscross on the bottom, where if you cast on with a back loop, you just get the loose loops. But even here, if you don't want to learn a new way of doing things, I believe you could just pick up your stitches here and add a liner if I would choose. These needles here are too thick, but actually you could see it quite well where you need to go in. You would go in here and in here and just pick up your stitches that way. So I hope you like the back loop cast on. It is not a stable cast on. I wouldn't use it for a sweater or a cardigan. But anything where I want to add anything in the other direction, or if I think I want to add an I-cord edge around it, I-cord edges are not very nice to start. So I would use this cast on, or the backwards loop cast on, start knitting, and then pick up these stitches and do my I-cord edge. Just because it's easier, it's cleaner, I don't fight with it, and it's done in a matter of whatever time it takes, and not all of the time that it takes to fight it. So I hope you enjoyed this little video, and it's just a little quick tip. And if you like these mittens, they're called songbird mittens, and it is just a rainbow yarn that I had picked up from Michael's, I believe it's a Loops and Threads. And you can tell that the colorway will stripe, because you have a few rows of colors that sit beside each other. So you know that once you knit them, they will knit up in stripes. If it would be way shorter or just little blips, you know it's not going to stripe like this. So that's my little trick there. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Happy knitting.